How we going, folks? The farm life, you gotta love it. Farm animals all around us here. We've got the dogs, obviously, the chickens, the duck, the rooster, the sheep there. Now we've got 4 new baby lambs there. They're all cuddled up together there, and I'm keeping them in the chook house because the foxes are out and they'll be hunting them for sure. So once they get a little bit big enough, they'll be out there with the rest of the herd, enjoying themselves on the paddocks or in the paddocks. Now, I'm standing next to our hothouse. As you know, we've been growing our tomatoes in there. They're coming along. I did forget to leave the door open today. I've told you about that. Do not leave the doors closed, especially on a warm day when it's sunny, because it causes them to get too lanky. It causes the actual plant to stretch out too much. And these have stretched just a little bit, but look, we've still got plenty of time for these to harden off. So they haven't gone past their use by date. They've got to thicken up now, and the only way you're going to do that is by opening the door. Also, liquid feeding them. Now, I'm using our liquid gold only, not the Eco Butch yet. I don't want them to be jumping out of the ground because the Eco Butch will put a lot of growth on them. At the moment, I just want them to fatten up and get their root systems nice and thick and the stems thicker as well, so we can get past the juvenile leaves, get them up and hardened off before we transplant them. Start off only with an hour or 2 at the first day or the second day, and then increase that as each day goes by. So don't bring them out in the full open sun or wind for too long a period, because that will put them into shock as well. Now, while they're growing, I'm going to be sowing my cucumber seeds, and I'm going to use the 32 cell tray. So I'm doing something a little bit different. We're doing Lebanese and burpless. Now, rather than using our propagating mix, I'm going to actually use our cocoa pith, which is nice and fluffy. I might just tip it in there. There are no nutrients added to this mixture whatsoever. It's straight out cocoa, broken down and hydrated and bagged. So I'm going to plant my seeds in this using a 32 cell tray. Not pressing it down yet. Let's just see how well it goes. There's a 5 litre bag, should be plenty for this tray. Just spread it out evenly, like that. And because it is really fluffy, once you fill it up, go over it carefully and feel the pressure in it. You want it to be a little bit dense. You don't want it to be too airy. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So I'm just filling it all up evenly, spreading it out. I haven't pressed it in now. If I go here, that's not bad. So it hasn't gone down too far as I press it. There's a little bit of resistance. That's good. That one there, see how it's sunken? See that? You need to add a bit more into that there. So you can go around and do that, or just overload them and then press it in and then scrape off the excess on top. So it's important we do that with this, because otherwise it will sink when you start hydrating it, and you don't want it to sink too far down. Now, sowing your seeds, folks, I haven't mentioned this before. I've done in the past in previous years, and it's something I forgot to talk about. To help them germinate a lot quicker as well, apart from the heat that we talk about in the mini hothouses, you know, the heat mats and all things like that, plenty of sunlight indirect, it's also helping the seed by, well, you can help the seed by soaking it. You can do it just in plain water if you like, or you can use liquid gold or smoke water. Either of the two will help actually the germination rate, increase the germination rate. So what I mean by soaking them is make a small solution, 500 mils, or not even well, actually you can make a 500 mil, because then you can water it into the plants later on. So make a solution of 500 mils, for example, like this. Now I'm having visions here. I'm about to drop my seeds in there, but I'm trying to think how I'm going to get them out afterwards. I'm not going to do it. So something like this, use a little cup or saucer, and I haven't got one here, but you understand what I'm talking about. Just put them in a little bowl if you like, with a solution, and drop your seeds in there. You can leave it in there for a couple of hours, or for larger seeds like beans and things like that, leave them overnight. And then the next day take them out and simply plant them into the mix. Now here I'm not soaking them. I'm going to gamble it without. These are my burpless varieties. Now come down here and I'll show you what I'm doing. Now some people put them in like that, others put them in vertically, vertically like that. I plant them on a slight angle like that. See that? So it goes in on a slight angle like that. Now you do need to cover it over. Let me do another one for you. I do look for the head of the seed. That's the bottom of the seed. That's the head of the seed, if I'm not mistaken. And grab it and push it in on a slight angle, but not flat. So it's not sitting flat on the bed there like that. Look, it may work like that as well. I'm sure plenty of people have done it that way. Everybody to their own design. On an angle, and push it in. If I can do it properly. There we are, 1, 2. So really go across this way. And we keep going all the way through. Don't put them in too deep. The deeper you put them, the longer they're going to take to germinate. Lebanese. Long burbless and short little Lebanese. Which ones do you like? Hey? They all taste the same to me. I really don't know. I mean, apart from their appearance, what is the difference between the two? Somebody tell me. Hey? The Lebanese are a bit more crunchy or something like that. So are the burbless. My son, my father-in-law, God rest his soul, he used to plant 300 plants. He used to come to our store in Coburg and insist on getting at least 50 seeds every week. And he did that for about 5-6 weeks. And he planted every single one. Now his theory was, I'm not going to get 10 or 20 cucumbers off one plant. I'm going to get at least 1 or 2. So if I plant 300 plants, do the sums. Minimum 300 cucumbers up to 600. And my son would be there. Every time he was there, he was crunching on one of those fresh homegrown cucumbers. Nothing like it. Unlike the ones you get at the supermarket that are Glad wrapped and shrink wrapped. Forget it. So what happens when these crack open, folks? The seed stays on the stem, so as it pops out of the ground, the seed still is attached to the actual plant while the roots grow down into the ground. And then it holds the first 2 juvenile leaves together until they're ready to grow big and strong, and they themselves push the seed off. Sometimes it doesn't come off completely, and all you've got to do, and I'll show you this later on, is carefully run your fingers over the top of the husk, which is the seed itself, the outer shell, to slide it off the leaves so that the leaves can open up to their full capacity. Now, you don't have to bury them too deep. I can't stress that enough. The deeper they are, the longer they'll take to germinate, and sometimes they don't even germinate at all. Now, before we put them in there, that was, more importantly, folks, label them. I didn't bring a texter, so that's my Lebanese there. My burbless are on this side. Give them a soak with the liquid gold. A weak solution, doesn't have to be super strong, and you'll see what happens. As the pith settles down, it appears a little bit, just push it in a bit. If it sticks out a little bit, it ain't gonna hurt it. It'll just germinate. That's all it's gonna do. The seed's gonna pop out of the ground anyway. See what happens? Look at that. It just popped out of the ground, or out of the pith. Get it back in there. Stay in it. That's it there. Push that one down as well. You can use tweezers if you like, eyebrow pluckers, whatever they call them. That's it. Now, these need heat. These need more heat than the tomatoes, folks. It is the beginning of September. These are going to take about 1 week, maybe 2 weeks maximum to germinate properly and have their 2 leaves coming up, but they need the heat as well. So the Lebanese are on this side, on my left side. I've got the heat mat set up already. Yes, it's warm. I haven't got heat television. I can tell you it's warm. It's going to sit here. If you've got a mini hothouse, put them in a mini hothouse. This is my mini hothouse, and our temperature set is 20 degrees. Current temperature now is 18 degrees. Now I've got it down here with the tomato seeds. We may actually try, we might swap it around and use the other thermostat, because we've got 2 thermostats here, or 2 ways to measure. So that's the bottom one. Let's put it up to the top here and monitor this one. Let's see where it goes down to. Let's drop down to 16, 15. So you can see the temperature's actually cold. Oh, the cocoa pith's quite cold. There we are. It's just stopped at, oh, it just stopped at 13.9. About that, it's going to slowly maybe go down to 13, but remember the door's open. I've just watered them. It's been outside, so the cocoa pith is cold. And as I said, cucumbers need more heat than the tomatoes, so make sure you give them plenty of heat. I've got them on the top shelf, more sunlight onto them. Once I close the door, the heat mats will kick into place. The ambient temperature is going to rise to about 22 degrees, which is perfect. And the soil temperature in there, the growing medium should be around the 20 degrees, 18 to 20 degrees, to get a successful germination on it. So, liquid feed every time they need a water now, once they've grown like that, with a weak solution of your liquid gold. Don't put EK Butch yet unless they're ready, got their other leaves coming up on them. And in a couple of weeks, we'll come back and visit them again and see if they're big enough so we can transplant them. If you need any products, folks, go to our website, vasiliesgarden.com. Everything's discounted every day. 27 pack seed deal. It's discounted heavily. 33 bucks. That's cheap. Maresi.